All right. Okay, so today is May 26th, 2022, and we're with Morgan, which is also my name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna share the screen so you can see your chart.
Okay.
Okay, can you see this okay?
Let's see. It's loading for me right now. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I
So,
can see it.
awesome. So I was gonna ask if you wanted to look it over to make sure that's all correct on the top. November 5th, 2002. And I don't know if you know exactly what time you're born, but it says 5:45.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's what I remember. So yeah.
Okay. Santa Monica, California. Okay, good. I just like to double check. Okay, so have you ever gotten your chart read before?
I've never gotten it like officially read. I think I installed one of those apps where like you can see all your friends' information, and I put all my stuff into that.
Cool. So basically, I use astro.com to do readings online because it's easier on the eyes because everything's like color coordinated, but I use SolarFire. So when we're done here, I'm going to email you copies of the charts, including like a 33-page Word document all about your natal chart. Because it's a lot. It's your soul's blueprint, and your soul is multifaceted. So there's a lot of information there. So it's hard to sometimes squeeze it into like an hour or so reading. But today I'm going to build a little bit of the foundation for you. So when you look at your chart, it's no longer Chinese. So astro.com is free. So if you do any research, it's a great website. You could have like up to 100 charts for free. It's pretty awesome. So the moment you decided to incarnate into this physical existence, this is how the planets were aligned in the sky. So you weren't dropped off by a stork. You consciously chose your parents. You consciously chose where to incarnate into, what race, your heritage, all that stuff. Like it was on a soul level, a very conscious process. So the planets, imagine you're standing on Earth and you're looking up at the sky. This is what it appears in the sky the moment you were born. So it's like the universe took a snapshot of your soul. And all astrology does is decode energy. So this map or blueprint is like a mirrored image, as if you're looking from Earth up at the sky. So everything is mirrored. So this, instead of it north, it's the south part of your chart because it's a mirror image. The bottom over here would be north. This would be east instead of west. And this would be the west side of your chart. So it's just, everything's kind of backwards. So we always start with, if I were to draw this 60 years ago before these programs existed, the first lines I would draw is the AC/DC line, not the band, and then the MC/IC line, these thick black lines. So the AC line is your ascendant or rising sign. So in this life, your rising describes what you're learning about what you're rising to become. So the moment you were born, the rising sign was in the constellation of Gemini. So this outer wheel, the zodiac belt in the sky, are all the different constellations in the sky are color coordinated, so it's easier for you to understand the elements.
Mm-hmm.
So your Gemini rising, which is air, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Gemini is the planet of communication. It's the sign of communication. So you're rising to become a Gemini, which means you're learning how to Gemini in this life. You're learning about communication. You're learning about the importance of communication. You're learning about all kinds of different like texts, emails, talking, expression, like creative expression, writing, drawing, painting. Anything that involves like the throat chakra of expression is the realm of Gemini. So because you have your whole life to learn this, the older you get, the more you embody your rising sign. So people, instead of thinking you as a Scorpio, because that's your sun sign, people are going to see you more as a Gemini. So when people first meet you, they meet your rising sign first. It's like the doormat of your aura. So when I first meet you, I meet that energy of Gemini. So I'm like, oh, he's very Gemini-like. So that being said, communication is going to play a very important part of your entire life. And you're, again, maybe even teaching other people how to properly communicate their thoughts, feelings, perspective, ideas. Because as you know, you've met people where they're terrible communicators. They don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to ask for what they want. They don't know how to talk to you or tell you what they need. So you're going to be someone who teaches people how to do that, but first you have to learn it. So again, this is a lifelong process of really studying and learning communication. And Gemini is not just about talking. Communication is also active listening. So there's a difference between hearing someone talk and actively listening and being present and not being in a hurry to talk. Like some people just wait till the person's done so then they can talk, but they're not actually listening to what the person has to say. So that's going to be a very important part of your life. The opposite line over here, the DC, is the opposite sign of the zodiac, which is Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, it's basically saying the DC line is your relationship line. It's the relationship part of your chart. So you would do very well with being in relationships, whether friendships, girlfriends, whatever, in like the archetype of Sagittarius. So it's saying you get along very well with Sagittarian energy. So Sagittarians are all about nature, travel, long distance travel, foreign countries, foreign languages, foreign cultures. Like those types of things would interest you in a partner or a friend. Okay, so notice it's like a pie chart. It's got the houses like 1 through 12. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Cool. So the houses are different parts of your life, literally broken into like a pie chart. So the first house has to do with your sense of self. It's ruled by Aries and Mars. So it's the self, it's the body, it's the personality structure. And then the second house is ruled by Taurus and Venus. And the second house has to do with your money, your resources, what you value. So when you're on your deathbed, what did you value? Did you value money and stuff and things? Or did you value love or friendships or experiences you had? This is all about the second house. Notice you have some planets and asteroids in houses and some you don't. Like the third house, you have nothing. It means that this is how the energy plays itself out. All the planets play itself out in different ways. And I would consider you having a type of chart called the splash chart, where all your stuff is all splashed around the chart. Like you got stuff everywhere. Like some people have all of their planets in 2 houses. So that means they're really focused on this part of their life, this part of the chart. But you have a splash chart. So that means you're here to do anything and everything. You're here to do not just one thing, but multiple things, which makes sense if you're a Gemini rising. Gemini is like jack of all trades, master of none, but like they're interested in anything and everything. They're like dabblers or magicians. They're here to learn it all. Like they read like 20 different books at once. That's kind of your energy with the splash chart. Is you're going to have a multitude of many different experiences in this lifetime. So anyway, so the second house again is Taurus and money. The third house, Gemini, is, I call it the landlord of the house. So Gemini and Mercury is the landlord of the third house. And third house is communication, short distance travel, like I'm going to go to a town over and back. Siblings, neighbors, left brain analytical thinking. The fourth house is connected with the moon, and it's the mother. The landlord is Cancer. So the fourth house, notice this thick black line. It's called the IC line. It's on the fourth house. So the IC line is actually the line of ancestry. It's the line of your lineage, your heritage, your family roots, your family's lands. And it's connected to the fourth house of your family's land in the past. So let's see. So yeah, fourth house, Cancer, the moon, the mother. So each house actually has an opposite polarity. So it makes it a little bit easier to memorize. So if the first house is Aries and Mars, and it has to do with the self, me, my body, myself. The opposite house is the seventh house, which is Libra and Venus. It has to do with the other. It has to do with all one-on-one relationships with someone, whether that's a friend, a lover, a business partner. All one-on-one relationships are the seventh house. So if the second house is your money, your finances, your values, the opposite house is the eighth house, which is shared resources, shared bank accounts, like this is our home, this is our car, this is our bank account. You get the point. So fifth house is Leo and the sun. It's the fun house. It's the house of creativity and play and children and the inner child. Your creativity. The sixth house is Virgo and Mercury. The sixth house is health, being of service, your jobs you're going to have. Small pets. 12th house is large pets like horses and stuff. Sixth house is small pets like dogs and cats and fish and birds and stuff. Seventh house again is Libra, Venus, the house of relationships. It's also the house of open enemies. Like having a partner and all of a sudden it doesn't work out and they turn out to be your enemy that they're very open about that they don't like you anymore. 12th house is hidden enemies, like you had no idea that someone really doesn't like you and they're secretly sending you ill wishes. Eighth house is again, it's Pluto and Scorpio house. So you're the landlord of the eighth house because you have the sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, and Venus in Scorpio. You got a lot of Scorpio. So I would study the eighth house because you're the landlord of the eighth house. And so the eighth house is the domain of like Hades. What is it? The king of the underworld. It's his domain, is the unconscious mind. So like the analogy of an iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is our conscious mind. Like we think we have control over our whole mind, but we only have 10% that we have control over. And the other like 80-90% is all below the surface of the iceberg. That's all the subconscious mind. That's the realm of Hades. That's the realm of Pluto and the eighth house. It's the underworld. It's below the surface. It's where trauma lives. It's deep psychological excavation. It's where we have deep healing experiences. That's why like people take hallucinogens or go on ayahuasca journeys so they can go down into the eighth house below the surface to do healing, to reprogram things. And you belong in Pluto in Sagittarius generation, which I'll talk about, is very important for you. So we'll go through the houses and we'll talk about Pluto, and it's a generational placement. So it affects your whole generation. All right, so yeah, Pluto, eighth house, Scorpio, the underworld, death, rebirth, healing with another. It's the house of occult, like hidden mysteries, like astrology, tarot, any occult science is the 8th house. 9th house is Sagittarius and Jupiter. It's long distance travel. It's right brain thinking. It's foreign countries, stuff like that. 10th house has to do with Capricorn and Saturn. It's the house of the father. It's the opposite. 4th house is the mother. Whoops. What is this? 4th house is the mother. 10th house is the father. It has to do with your career. And there's something called a Saturn return we're going to talk about, because when you're 27 to 31, your whole life will turn upside down and change. So that's something to look forward to when you're 27 years old.
Oh boy.
It's a lot of fun, the Saturn return, and not everybody makes it. So that's an important conversation we could talk about. All right, so 11th house is Aquarius and Uranus. Uranus is this alien ship looking thing. It's community, networks you belong to, online communities. Anything that has to do with groups and communities and networks that you belong to is 11th house. 12th house, the last house, is Pisces and Neptune. It's the collective unconscious. It's a vast ocean of everybody's thoughts that have ever been thought. It's like the astral plane. It's the house of deep mysticism and spirituality. It's where you would go to meditate, like an ashram, or institutions like prisons and hospitals where you can isolate yourself and heal. Okay, so there's lots of things to talk about, but before we get into the transits and stuff, let's look at the bottom of the chart. So F is for fire. This is the fire element of all the asteroids and planets you have. A is for air, E is for earth, and W is for water. So we count the planets only to determine what your energetic signature is, or what like element you mostly embody. So the planets is, let's see. So fire, you got 1, 2, 3. Air, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Earth, you got nothing because these are all asteroids. And water, you got 1, 2, 3. So you're mainly air. So I would call you air dominant. And so C is for cardinal energy. It's self-starting, initiating energy. F is fixed. It's like set in its ways. And M is for mutable. It's like it goes with the flow. So an analogy of this, if I were to call you on the phone and be like, hey, Morgan, do you want to go get some food somewhere? Where do you want to go? The cardinal energy person would be like, let's go here. I've always wanted to go here. Let's go someplace new. Yeah. It knows what it wants. It goes for what it wants. It likes to try new things. And then the fixed person would say, well, let's go to the same place we always go to, and I'm going to order the same thing I always do because it's comfortable and it's stable, and I know I like it. It's reliable. And then the mutable person would say, well, wherever you want to go. So those are like the 3 different main types of energy signatures that a person can embody. So let's count here. You got 1 and cardinal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and fixed, and 1, 2, 3 and mutable. So you're definitely fixed. And fixed means, again, it's stable, it's reliable, it likes routine, it likes to feel safe, it's grounded, it's stubborn, it's static, it doesn't like change too much. So if you put fixed air together, fixed air is Aquarius. So you would have an Aquarius energetic chart signature. So your homework from me maybe is to study Aquarius, because that's what you're mostly like. The totality of your being is mostly like an Aquarius. So Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. That, again, that alien ship thing. La, la, la. This thing. So that's the ruling planet of Aquarius. And Uranus, we're in the age of Aquarius. It is a 2,160-year cycle. So it's being an Aquarius chart signature you're here to help awaken humanity. You're here to help with this shift in consciousness, help people wake up to the truth, help people who are sleeping to really see through the illusion of fear and to create a whole new reality. So Aquarius is like the rebellious planet. They're rebellious, they're revolutionary, they're eccentric, they're weird, they're different than everybody else. They're forward thinking, so they're very intelligent. So these are some of like maybe the energetic signature characteristics that you embody. So I would study more of Uranus and Aquarius, because that's the totality of what you embody. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so then we scroll further down the chart. And if you don't know the symbol, it says it next to it. Like, this is the sun, this is the moon, Mercury, Venus, Uranus. Lilith is your core fear. There's everything in your blueprint. Basically, everything exists here. How you love, your money, your career, your jobs you'll have, your life purpose, like everything is in here. You could study this for the rest of your life and still not know it all. That's why I love astrology, because it's like this never-ending adventure of studying about your soul. And the more you know about yourself, the more you empower yourself, and the more you're empowered, the more people can't control you. And that, the government mind control game doesn't exist in your reality, because you're empowered and you know yourself on a soul level, and no one can control you if you know yourself. Know thyself is what astrology teaches. The more you know about yourself, the more you can help other people get to know themselves. So it's a very empowering thing to study your own chart or your own soul in some way. There are many ways to get to know your own soul. So then over here, we have the aspects. These are how the planets communicate with each other. That's why sometimes you could experience conflict within yourself, because one planet wants to do this and the other planet wants to do this, and then it creates this inner conflict. But this is why. It's how the planets communicate. And the universe is within, right? We could say, well, the external world outside of us, outer space, the planets do affect us, but it's a reflection of the universe within. So really, the universe all exists within ourselves, and everything externally is just a mirror of what's within. So, for example, you have the sun conjunct Mercury, you have the sun conjunct Venus, you have the sun square Jupiter, and stuff like that. The aspects tell you about your gifts and talents inherited from previous lifetimes. They tell you what challenges you'll manifest in this life. Like, all the squares in your chart are your challenges, and all challenges turn a breakdown into a breakthrough. So squares are actually very good because they're teaching you very important life lessons. They'll be challenging and painful, but they'll be healing and gifts that come out of that. So you're not just here to suffer. All the trines are a 120-degree harmonious flow of energy. So it's a natural gift and talent that you embody. You don't even know you have. It's just so natural for you. Like, for example, you have Mercury trine Saturn. So on some level, whether you're aware of this or not, you're very good at disciplining your mind, because Saturn's discipline and Mercury's the mind. So you have more discipline with your mental thinking than most people. Like, maybe most people are super ADD and they can't focus on one thing at a time, and they're terrible at studying, and but you naturally embody this gift. You naturally have this flow of energy that helps you focus your mind and discipline your mind with positive thinking instead of negative thinking. Stuff like that. But if you ever get like a book on astrology, learning about the aspects is a lot of fun because you're uncovering these hidden gifts and talents that you didn't even know you had from like previous lifetimes. So you could spend like a whole like 3 hours just looking through the aspects in a book. Like, what is Uranus trine? Let's see. Or how about, what does Saturn trine Uranus mean? What does Jupiter opposition Uranus mean? And it's just really cool to see like all the gifts and talents you have. And you're like, oh, wow, I'm pretty cool. Or, oh, wow, these are my challenges. Venus square Neptune. There's a challenge with the way you love and your imagination. Stuff like that. It's just helpful to know more about yourself on a deeper level. So, do you have any, do you have any questions about like anything? Or do you want me to just kind of? Because you're so young.
Okay. I think one of the things that stuck out to me really was the Gemini rising part, because at least from the like bare bones understanding I have, and based off of how my very Scorpio mom reacts, Geminis are supposed to be our enemies.
Well, I would say that's there's a lot of there are no like mortal enemies in the chart, really. I mean, there is going to be certain signs that are karmic, where this type of sign comes in your life over and over and over, and you have problems with them. But because of all the things going on in your chart, the totality of your there's not just one sign that you're super like, oh, this is my homie sign and this is my enemy sign. It doesn't really work that way. It's like there's so much going on in people's charts where, I mean, certain people will manifest the same lesson over and over through the same sign. And that will be like, for example, I can't stand Virgos because it's like the same lesson playing itself out over and over and over. But there's nothing in my chart that says, oh, this is your mortal enemy. But what that's saying is Scorpio, all men and women are different. So even if you're a Scorpio, your mother's a Scorpio, you're going to be two different Scorpios, because male Scorpios are different than female Scorpios. But Scorpios tend to be possessive and controlling and emotional, but passionate and deep, and they're in touch with their emotions, and they're very feeling based. And Gemini is all heady and communication and air, and they don't want to talk about emotions. They want to talk about ideas and thoughts and what inspires them. So if you think about the water element versus the air element, is way different, right? The water is way down here. Air is, it wants to fly. It wants to be free. It doesn't want to be held down or controlled. And then, so yeah, it's like that. Those two different elements could be, conflicting.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I do know of a Scorpio Gemini couple, and that was their problem, was the Gemini wouldn't shut up. And she didn't want to talk. She just wanted to feel, and she wanted silence, and she didn't want to talk all the time and be in her head all the time. So that created some conflict. But that's all. It's just Gemini, sun, moon, or rising people need to know when to stop talking, or they need to know when enough is enough and to get out of the head. Like you guys are brilliant with the way you see the world, and so many thoughts and ideas come and go because it's air. It's just like just constantly comes in. But you have to know when to get out of the head and into the body. And so I always recommend exercise for Gemini, like strong Gemini people. Like when you're stuck in your head too much and you have a friend or a partner or a mother who's like, hey, dude, can we just stop talking for a moment or stop thinking? Like shut off your brain for a moment. Like exercise is your guys' savior. Okay. What about another? Do you have any other questions? About your love, your money, your job, your career, anything.
Yeah, I kind of want to go into career because, at least for me, I'm very much, I guess, for where my stance on it is, I'm definitely that, like, kind of, like, I'm very focused on trying to make music work right now, but at least for me, it's very much a thing where no matter what I do, I'm that, like, I don't want to work a 9 to 5, like, kind of
Yeah.
rebellious streak, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I want to do something different.
Very cool. And you will. No, this is a good topic because I get to talk about with you Saturn return. Excuse me, Saturn return also. So your job when you're younger, before you're 27 years old, is to dabble. It's to do anything and everything. Because the 10th house is career, and you don't really focus on that until after you're 27. And then 6th house is the jobs, little jobs you'll have. So when you're younger, you're literally designed, you're like in the fire element stage of your life where you're designed to dabble and do anything and everything. And so in your generation, especially as Pluto in Sagittarius, so everybody born from like 1995 to I think 2005 are all Pluto and Sagittarius. And so your whole generation is designed to be like Sagittarius, which is truth. You're the truth seekers. You're here to embody truth. You're here to, whatever's true for you, you're here to own that. So if your truth is, I don't want to work a 9 to 5, I don't want to work in this old paradigm structure of hard work for little pay, doing something I don't want to do because of the expectation of, oh, I need to make money for bills. That's not what you're designed to do. You're designed to find your truth that's specific to you and own it. So if your truth is, I want to be a paid musician, you can. In fact, that's what I'm going to school for. So it's like the more people that are musicians that want to do that for a living, I'm like, hell yeah. Like it is possible. Like you can make a living doing that. You absolutely can. But whatever your truth is, your generation are the truth seekers and the truth bringers. So you meet a lot of resistance from the outside world. So if your truth is, I'm going to work for myself doing what I love, then from the outside world, it meets resistance. Yeah, well, you should get a normal job, kid, and you should, be a man and be a mechanic or someone who could build a house or, whatever the outside world pressures you to do, societal pressure. Your job is your whole generation is to stand your ground and own your truth of who you are on a soul level. So if your truth is, you know, I'm going to work for myself. I'm not going to go to school. I'm going to do everything different. It's your job to stand your ground and own that. No matter what resistance you meet from the world. And you'll meet a shitload of resistance from your mother, from, you know, your parents, from society, from school, it's this continual, it's almost like you have to fight just to be yourself. But the more you just own who you are and stand your ground, the more you meet other people that are on that same path. And the easier it is to feel connected and to feel like you don't have to fight for being you anymore, and you could just be yourself, and you don't have to waste all that energy in opposition all the time. You could just exist, and it doesn't have to be hard. It just flows. So when you're 27, there's something called a Saturn return. Saturn's right here. It looks like a little H. So your Saturn's in Gemini in the second house. So when you're 27, Saturn goes all the way around the zodiac wheel back to the original position where it was when you were born. And what that does is it takes all the 400,000 ideas that you have and it gets you to focus on like 1 to 7 things. So Saturn's helping you to focus. It's the planet of discipline. It's the planet of mortality and structure. It's like the bow and arrow, and you're really aiming for what you want. So when you're younger, your job is to dabble and do whatever and play music and do art. But when you're 27, suddenly your life gets really serious and you become more serious about your career and what you want to give to humanity. And it's interesting because the 10th house is your career, and it's Uranus is in there, and its ruling sign Aquarius is on your midheaven. Your midheaven is your career line. It's what you would mostly it's like what you would mostly benefit from doing as a career, or what your soul really wants to do career-wise. So you will have an Aquarian type career. So Aquarius is something that it rules the 11th house. It's giving to the community. It's giving to the collective consciousness in some way. So and then Uranus is the planet of genius. So your genius is in Aquarius. So you're like, it's ruled by its own sign. So it's at home there. So it's like exalted. So you have this like genius way of giving back to the whole. Like you could invent something, or your music could like change the world in some way, or you could start a band and travel the world, and everywhere you go, it like uplifts humanity. But this is basically saying that your genius in your chart is related to your career. So when you really are in the flow of your career, you're going to end up giving back to the whole in a big way. And it's not to put pressure on you. It's a natural process of you just being you. Like maybe you're in this band and you become really not popular, but like just it's flowing, and you're getting all this creative ideas with music. And then you decide to do concerts, and then all the proceeds go to, helping all the animals or helping recycle, or but the point is, whatever you do as a career, you're going to end up giving back to the whole in a big way. Because that's like that Aquarius midheaven. You want to help humanity in some way. So that's cool. So just know when you're 27 to 31, Saturn will kick your ass and get you to focus on what you came here to do. Like, again, you weren't dropped off by a stork. You consciously came down here to accomplish. You have like a bucket list of things you want to accomplish in this life. And Saturn will help you with discipline and structure and focus to get you to accomplish what you came here to do. Does that make sense?
Okay.
All right. So also about Pluto, it's not just a generational placement. It affects the seventh house for you. So it affects your one-on-one relationships. So it's saying you'll meet powerful people. You'll end up, all your partners will be powerful in some way because Pluto's power. It has to do with power, regeneration, evolution, transmutation. It's deep psychological healing. So you'll meet powerful partners on your adventure in your life.
Okay.
Your moon is also in the seventh house. So how you feel, you project it onto the other. So maybe, you're feeling a certain way. Your partner ends up feeling it more so than you do. Like you really understand your emotions through partnership. All right, let's talk about the north and south node of the moon. This is probably the most important part of your whole chart. So it looks like headphones. So this is called north node or the dragon's head. And always the complete opposite house and sign is your south node, which is like upside down headphones. So this is the dragon's tail. The tail is where you came from in previous incarnations. So you came from a Sagittarian type of personality. So Sagittarius, again, is the philosopher. It's the spiritual teacher. It's the teacher in general. It's a know-it-all. It thinks it knows everything about everything. It's the traveler. It's the world traveler. It's but basically you're coming from, like on a soul level, your soul came from this polarity point of being worldly traveled, being educated, because Sagittarius is higher education. So you were educated. You could have been a philosopher, a traveler, a teacher, like a spiritual guru of some sort even. So you're coming from all of this knowledge that you inherited in your subconscious. So you have all this information there. And seventh house is partnerships, like all one-on-one relationships. Like you could have been like a couple, like both of you were teachers, or but you were very focused on the other, like your wife or your friend or your business. You were very focused on another person. But in this life, it's in the first house. So the north node or the dragon's head is asking you to be more selfish in this life, to learn about yourself. Because if you don't have a strong sense of self, you have no self to give away. And you become like a people pleaser, or you go along to get along. So this life, your soul's, because this is your soul's evolutionary path. This is like the most important part of your whole chart, is you're here to learn about yourself. You're here to be more self-focused, obviously not self-absorbed, but diving deeper into your own soul is very important. Asking bigger questions like, why am I here? Doing stuff like ayahuasca journeys or peyote ceremonies, or really deep soul journeys. Your soul really wants you to learn, dive deeper into your soul. And also it's in Gemini. So again, it solidifies how important it is for you to understand communication, maybe take communication classes, maybe do sign language, maybe learn other languages, but like communication, speaking, communicating is a very important role in this life for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see.
Yeah, I can think of, yeah, there were a lot of things that came to mind when you were talking about that just now.
Cool. So Gemini is also learning. It's studying, it's reading books. But Sagittarius is more about teaching. I'm not saying you can't be a teacher, but I'm saying like learning, educating yourself, reading books. is also like a really great way to like really dabble and give your mind something to do, because Gemini rules the mind. It's a very busy mind that you have, but it's a brilliant mind. And if you don't learn how to direct your mind, it could go to places that you're wasting your energy. Like people that are like addicted to playing video games and not really learning, they're just kind of like wasting their mind. So it's important to train your mind in some way because it's so active, which could be a gift and a curse.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's end with a couple things. Let's talk about your core fear. This is always fun.
Oh.
Your core fear is Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is a part of your chart where it's like a double-edged sword. It represents your worst fears and your greatest power. So I don't know if you grew up religious at all, but the story of Lilith has been since the, the Babylonian times, the history of Lilith archetype. And this archetype was mentioned in the Bible, and it was about the first woman. There was Adam, and then there was Lilith. And so patriarchal society took the archetype of Lilith, which was originally an empowered woman. And if you're male or female, you have Lilith somewhere in your chart. So Lilith represents the type of woman you're attracted to, but it also represents your worst fear. So it's a great power, a woman you're attracted to, and your worst fear all rolled into one. So patriarchal society took that archetype of an empowered woman and they turned her into a demon fucker. Now she eats children and she fucks demons, and
that sounds about right for like for that
religion.
time period.
Yeah.
Well, any time really.
Yeah. So religion was great at brainwashing people to believe that women should just be slaves and that you need to be a good woman. Otherwise, anyway, you'll turn into Lilith and So that kind of paradigm has been in the collective consciousness for thousands of years. And these are the things that are getting purged from humanity because it's bullshit. It's outdated crap. It's fear-based. It doesn't make sense anymore. So we're all getting rid of that old paradigm of thinking. So anyway, that's where the history of Lilith came from. So when people hear the name Lilith, their skin crawls still because they've probably heard it in the Bible when they were kids. And they're like, oh, God. But anyway, Lilith. So your Lilith is in Aries and it's in the 12th house. So Lilith and Aries, she casts a shadow because she's literally in the sky. She's a black void. She's like, she follows the moon. So she's the moon's shadow. So when you were born, she was in the constellation of Aries in the 12th house. So when she's in Aries, it means it's a fear of unworthiness.
Are we back?
Yeah, sorry, I was just texting you. Mercury retrograde's been kicking my ass.
Oh yeah, it's been bad here, especially because we've had a lot of thunderstorms. Like every night I'll get a severe thunderstorm warning.
Oh wow.
And I don't think that's helping.
Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were just talking about the history of Lilith, and then I think you were going into something else before it cut off.
Yeah, I was like, oh, perfect timing. So yeah, Lilith represents your core fear. And so when it's in the constellation of Aries, it's fear of unworthiness. So inherently, when you get older, this is what's hard is relationships are mirrors. We all mirror each other's darkness and our light. We're just all mirrors. So it's easy to project our shadow issues onto other people. So this will really manifest when you get into like a love relationship or romantic partner you love them so much. And so they mean the world to you. And so there's a greater level of insecurity that comes up because you care so much about them. And so that's when the fear really manifests, is when you're in romantic partnerships. So it's kind of like a warning a little bit that I'm offering is, hey, you have an inherent fear of unworthiness, and that may come out in relationships. But the thing is, we all have fears to work through. Everybody does. So someone else could have a fear of abandonment, fear of rejection. So if you're a human, you have a core fear. And I went over this with your mother already, like we were talking about her core fear. So everybody's core fear manifests in different ways, but the way it always comes out is romantic partnerships. So when you have a core fear of unworthiness, deep down, it's like working through that uncomfortable feeling. I mean, it's a long story, but it's like fear lives in the root chakra. It's not even real. It's an illusion of the mind. So when this, I call it like inner demons come out of like, oh, my fear of unworthiness is coming out. Just notice it and like breathe through it. And it's one of those voices that is kind of there in the background for you. So it's like, it's something to work through. But it's powerful when you could like turn it into art. Like you could write a song about your fear, write a song about your demons, make it more conscious. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but
Oh no, that makes a lot more sense than I thought. Yeah.
well, I actually have a little PDF that I was going to read a little bit of it, because I found this PDF like 10 years ago about the transits of Black Moon Lilith, and they're pretty dead on. So I was going to actually share the screen and read a little bit about your core fear, if that's okay.
Okay.
Cool. So give me 1 sec to pull it up. Be 2 seconds because my computer's being slow. All right. Are you still there? Sorry, dude.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, man. Yesterday was really rough. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so this is a PDF that I found online like 10 years ago, and it's all about Black Moon Lilith and your core fears. And I was just going to read a little it's 94 pages, obviously. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I was going to read a little section on Black Moon in Aries. So as you can see, if you are a human, you have a core fear to work through. So yours is the first in the first constellation. So there's basically in your life, you'll have events that trigger this core fear profoundly to where you're really sitting in this energy of like pain of fear, and like the fear of unworthiness will really hit you at different times of your life. So it's kind of like an initiation. So instead of seeing it as, oh, the universe is torturing me and I'm in a lot of pain, it's you give the pain a reason to exist. It's like, well, this is what I contracted to work through in this life. I'm working through this pain, and the pain is not even your own, it's like your lineage. Your whole lineage has this certain fear, and you're working through that fear. So instead of running away from your fear, like most people drink or do drugs or numb out the pain and ignore the pain, your job is to breathe into the pain and sit with the pain and heal it, not just suppress it and run from it. So it's important to know what the primary fear is so it doesn't have as much power over you. So that's why I like to show people this is, look, this is going to come up over and over again in your life. You have your whole life to work through this issue. By making it conscious, it doesn't have as much power. And so you could even be in a relationship and be like, hey, look, I have an inherent fear of unworthiness. And will you help me through this when my uncomfortable emotions come up, like insecurities or whatever? And the more vulnerable you are, the more you can have fulfilling, lasting relationships when you're open and vulnerable and admitting your faults. Because most people try and be tough and they're like, oh, I'm perfect, I don't have any faults and I don't have any fears and everything's like, I'm good. But they're just putting up all these walls and you can't really connect with these people. And they're so guarded that there's no intimacy, there's no connection. Yeah. So when the more open you are with your issues and the more vulnerable you are, the more love and connection you have. So it's actually, go ahead.
Yeah, and either way, like no matter how many walls you put up, it's gonna come out sooner or later. And the more you try and hide it, the worse it's gonna be.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's like owning, yep, I got a core fear of unworthiness. Cool. I'm owning it. I'm gonna work through it. I'm gonna be open about it. It's what makes me human. It's all good. We all got something to work through. So the theme of Black Moon in Aries is the shadow of success. It says primary fear, fear of unworthiness, self-judgment, how well one performs or measures up. Issues, success, identity, questions about inherent value, self-esteem, and merit. Projection, others' success and worthiness is based on what they have attained or accomplished. Goals, to not compare yourself to others. To not measure personal success by anyone else's standards. To value yourself as a unique expression of the creator, therefore creating self-esteem. Manifestation. The Black Moon in Aries manifests in an intense quest to be valued and feel worthy. However, a deep-seated feeling of unworthiness is in conflict with this quest, often causing beneficial opportunities to be passed up. In life, we are only able to receive what we think we deserve. And when we feel undeserving, we will avoid or reject people, jobs, or options that we feel are too good for us. Self-sabotaging behavior often occurs with the Black Moon in Aries. There can be a need to prove one's worthiness to others, even the form of subtle bragging. The Black Moon in Aries staunchly defends itself and rejects anything that does not fall in line with its ideals and beliefs. Healing and transcending. With the Black Moon in Aries, the belief in inherent unworthiness must be faced. Simply by virtue of being born, we are entitled to and worthy of the joys of life. If all is one, then none are less than others. Each of us carries a spark of the divine. None are excluded. Healing occurs when we are able to see ourselves as successful and worthy because we are a child of the universe. When we recognize this, we understand that all other gauges are external and superficial. By holding ourselves in high regard, we naturally align with our highest and best. Then it suggests Examine where you have settled for less than you wished. Ask yourself, what would you do if somehow magically a wand was waved and you are deemed worthy? Strive to connect with this vision. Then ask yourself how much the appearance of success plays in your life. Ask yourself what you are always trying to win. When you discover the answer, decide if you really want it. Is it worth the effort? By practicing the awareness that you do not have to be the best in every situation, you will come to a natural state of internal balance. And then other people with this placement: Johnny Cash, Kurt Cobain, Albert Einstein, Gandhi, Michael Jackson, John Lennon, Joseph Stalin. So a lot of these are musicians. So it's interesting because I have a few of my friends who have this placement. And I always tell them that, Johnny Cash embodied this because you can hear it in his music, how self-loathing he was. All his music was like how much he hated himself and how much he felt he didn't deserve love. And
about everything he's fucked up in life, and
yeah, like just what a piece of shit he is. And it's like, it was all this Black Moon Lilith. He never worked through the fear. I mean, maybe that was his way of working through it, was thinking about it. But he lived in that pain of, I'm not worthy enough for love. And he's kind of like a good role model for you of what not to be. Is your job is to transmute that pain and suffering into, I am worthy. I am, just by being a child of the universe, I'm worthy of the best life ever. I don't have to prove myself to receive love and abundance. I can just exist because I'm good enough. So Johnny Cash didn't do any of those types of reprogramming of thoughts. All he did was live in the pain. So he's kind of a good role model of what not to do. So anytime you have those really deep, dark feelings of this inherent unworthiness, I want you to, like, in your life, maybe put a big red X through that thought. Like, imagine a huge red X, and then replace that thought with, I am worthy. And then imagine what that looks like and feel that in your body of, I am worthy just by existing. And you'll develop your own like magical practices with this, but this is something that will come up over and over and over again for you in your life. So that's part of your big homework from me, is to develop a mantra in your life when you're feeling this emotion of unworthiness, to replace it with that mantra of, just by me existing and being a child of the universe, I deserve the best life, my version of the best life ever. Or whatever it is. Like, it's your job to figure out your own perfect mantra that can help you transmute this pattern. Because again, you're going to have your whole life to deal with it. So you might as well tackle it earlier. Because some people never, not only do they have no clue what their core fear is, they never work through it, and they just repeat the fear over and over, and they live in hell because they're not making the unconscious conscious. They're just repeating the cycles and patterns, kind of like Johnny Cash did. Does that make sense?
yeah. Oh yeah, I know. I've known more than a few adults in my life that, where like I can very much tell it's like, oh, you have not had time to work through whatever it is that is hurting you.
Yeah. Yep. And you're in a generation where you guys are very psychic, and you're born with like an inner bullshit detector. Like, you can really see into people. You see their trauma. You see people very deeply. And so it's very important that you do this work, because many people do not do this work. So I'm going to share the screen back to the birth chart. Take a look at, whoops, where did it go? All right, so now we're going to talk about, I just wanted to make sure it was in the 12th house. We're going to talk, and it's a shorter little section in the PDF, so I'm going to pull back the PDF again. We're going to look at it in the 12th house now. All right. And it's helpful to know people that in your life what their core fear is, so you can help them through it. Like your, whatever, your future wife or whatever is like, it's helpful because some people really struggle with their core fears and they really have no idea what it is, and it's very helpful to know what it is in astrology. Okay, so the house in which a natal black moon is located enables us to pinpoint how the shadow will manifest in our lives. The house placement shows the context in which the shadow issues will predominantly play out. Essentially, the natal home of the black moon shows the area of life where the shadow is deeply ingrained and where we will face our greatest persistent challenges in life. However, true to the black moon's dualistic nature, she also brings a great gift to that area of life. And this is much shorter, but it's the last one, which is the 12th house, which is ruled by Pisces. And remember, the 12th house is the collective unconscious. So guess what? Your core fear is connected to the collective core fear. Isn't that funny? That means when you work through your core fear, you're literally working through the collective's core fear. That's powerful. It's like clearing for the collective. Whatever is in the 12th house is what you're clearing for the whole collective. And I know by experience because I have mine in the 12th house as well. So when I do my shadow work and my healing, I'm also healing the collective. It's a powerful placement, but it's very intense. And a lot of that pain is perfect for a musician because it's deep, it's heavy, it's not even your own pain, it's the collective pain. So it's a gift and a curse. Have fun.
Oh boy.
All right, so the black moon in the 12th house is the greatest challenges of the shadow are related to unconscious motivations, addictions, institutions, and enemies. The shadow is deeply ingrained in anything that is hidden. So by its very nature, the black moon is hidden, making this placement difficult to understand. There is often a side to us that is unknown to most people. We may have a degree of emotional suffering that is not evident to others until they get to know us. Gift. The gift of the shadow is our ability to empathize with others. We seem to easily give to others that which we may not be able to give to ourselves. We are complex people who can handle complex tasks and material with aplomb. Meaning, if you ever got any kind of a job, whatever it is, because you're a complex person, you're going to figure it out. And so you're going to go through all these multitude of different jobs and careers and situations where people, like, you're just going to pick things up quickly. Like you're a very, like your mind is with that gift of like emphasizing with others, like you really also feel people deeply. Like you know exactly what they need and what they're going through. You like feel them very deeply. And so it's natural for someone like you with this placement to know exactly what people need in every moment. And so it's a huge gift because many people are not in touch with their own emotions and they're not in touch with other people's feelings. So it makes the perfect musician because you feel so deeply for the whole collective, but you also are able to do any task. Like I'm talking, if anybody, because I have this placement, if anybody throws me in any kind of situation, I figure it out. It's that same with you, is you're gonna, like, you're able to figure out anything if you're in a situation that requires you to do so. Like, you're not someone who's just gonna stand around and but anyway, like, the big thing here is to know that when you feel so intensely and deeply and it's painful, it's most of the time not even your own pain. It's like you're picking up on the collective unconscious's pain, the collective pain. So that's a huge gift and a curse. This curse of like feeling all this pain, but the gift of knowing it's not even yours and you can channel it into your music or your art or your creative expressions. I mean, the most talented musicians and poets and artists are the ones that feel all of this collective pain. And so then you help people on a collective level to heal, because then they'll hear your music and they'll be able to relate because you can relate to their pain. So have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're feeling really intensely and it's too much, play music or do art, like channel it, like express it so it leaves the body is the most important thing. Like, don't just sit in it and wallow in it. Like, let it go, like express it so it leaves the body. So it's really important as someone who's so empathic that feels so intensely to not just wallow in pain and to express it, do art, write poetry, play music, like whatever, like get it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely, yeah, I have that sort of thing of I guess I've been more balanced about it recently, but I know for sure I have 2 albums that I finished and I'm working on a third. I know
Cool.
for those first 2, it was very much sort of that like tortured artist thing where you just wallow in it all the time and you write really good stuff during that, but it's terrible for your health. And then it eventually backfires to where you lose all motivation to write in the first place. And then you're just stuck feeling like shit. So I've been more proactive about like, okay, I'm starting to feel this sort of thing. I'm going to write about it. And then it kind of helps alleviate it a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, what you just said was brilliant, because most people, there's a lot of people that I met that they went through that phase of they wrote their first album or they wrote their first couple songs and they were feeling all of that pain and they just got stuck there. And now like all they write about is just the pain and they're just repeating that over and over instead of like getting through it. So what you just said was kind of brilliant. That's awesome. You're in a really good place because you're way ahead of the curve already. So I don't doubt at all that you're gonna change the world for the better in some way and be a light in the darkness. People need your light so badly right now. Like, we live in a world of negativity and people bitch about everything, and people need that hope that you naturally embody. You're the light in the darkness. So I don't doubt that you will be successful and happy. But that's really your biggest challenge is that fear of unworthiness thing. That's all I wanted to really share with you today. But do you have any last you have any burning questions before we end?
I guess like I guess I think you were saying that the fear is also like the type of person you'll be attracted to?
So wherever
Like,
your black moon is,
did I get that correctly?
yes. So um, let's see. So Aries, so because of your black moon, whatever constellation it's in, because that's your issue you're working through, most of the time it happens where you manifest a partner who is got strong Aries. So wherever your black moon is, that's like the constellation or the type of archetypal person you'll attract, because we have all these like soul contracts with people, and we have like thousands of soulmates that we've contracted to work with. And so I wouldn't doubt that in the future, or if you've already have a relationship where they have very strong Aries in their chart, because Aries is naturally self-focused. And because that's your Lilith, that's your shadow side. So because that's your fear, and you haven't owned that part of you, you'll then attract people who are Aries that have owned that. So they're self-centered, they're egotistical, they're naturally all about the self, because Aries rules the self. So they're naturally all about themselves. And they own it. So it's a possibility you'll attract Aries people, and you'll project, God, you're so selfish and you're self-focused and you're this and you're that, but they're just mirroring back to you of what you haven't owned yourself. Because your job in this life is to be more self-focused. You're learning how to be more self-focused and more self-centered in a good way. So you know yourself on a soul level. So that's what I meant, is you'll attract people into your life that you probably can't stand, because you're projecting your own shadow issues onto them. But it's your job to just own, okay, they're just showing me, they're just mirroring to me that I need to be more selfish and I need to be more self-focused. Thank you, universe, for the mirror, for the reflection of the lessons I need to learn. But most people don't operate on that level of consciousness. Most people just project, oh, I hate them and I can't stand them, and they just project their own shit instead of owning that, no, they're just mirroring to me the aspects of myself I haven't healed yet. Because every single person is a mirror. Every single person that crosses your path is mirroring something you love about yourself or something you hate about yourself. And so those people in your life that you have contact with, it just means that you have some healing to do that they're mirroring to you. Like if you have certain characteristics in people you can't stand, that just means you need to heal that characteristic in yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can think of, like, I don't have a lot of people that I really dislike, but the people that I do, I'm like, oh, they kind of share that common characteristic of they are, like, at the least they are very confident in themselves, if not to like the point of like narcissism.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then on some level it's probably like, okay, why can't I have that?
Yeah, no, that's a perfect example, because the universe is just showing here, I'm gonna give you all these narcissistic, self-centered people that are very overly confident. So then you look at yourself and be like, okay, well, maybe I need to learn how to be more confident. Maybe I need to own my own confidence more. Okay, how can I do that? And then whatever you think that will do that, then do that, whether it's exercising more or eating healthier or meditating or saying positive mantras or whatever it is. Like, it's your job to find out what empowers you the most and what gets you more confident. So yeah, that's exactly right. But it's the definition of, it's just a simple psychology term. It's projection. Always people project their shadow issues onto other people. Always, like 100% of the time, always. But it's just they're mirroring something in you that you need to heal. That's all. So have fun with healing the shadow. You have your whole life to do it. So No rush. And then again with the Gemini rising, Gemini in the first house, North Node in Gemini, all this Gemini stuff. Just really develop a strong sense of communication and actively listening. Not just hearing, but actively listening to people. Because people remember people the most that listen to them. Like people don't really get heard anymore. So it's very healing to find someone who really listens to them. Like my favorite people in the world are people that actually know how to listen. So develop that skill of really strong active listening and be okay with being a dabbler, jack of all trades, master of none. And the last thing as a reminder is stand your truth. Pluto and Sagittarius generation, your whole generation, stand your ground in your truth. Whatever your truth is, own it. If you don't want to work a 9-to-5 job, then don't. Own it. Own that you're going to be an artist and you have a different path than the older generation. And it's perfect. You're perfectly designed yourself. You designed this. You jumped in to incarnate exactly when you decided. Nobody dropped you off by a stork. You chose your own blueprint. So you designed yourself perfectly. So yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna end this and then I'll email you copies of charts and I'm gonna stop the recording.